Chosen one, do not answer what I am judging. Let that land in your spirit before your emotions try to edit it. This is not a motivational phrase. This is not a soft suggestion. This is a divine interruption. God is stepping between you and the response you were about to release. He is stepping between you and the paragraph you were about to type. He is stepping between you and the phone call you were about to make. He is stepping between you and the old argument you were about to reopen just to prove that your heart was clean. This message is not for everyone. If you came here because you want drama, this is not for you. If you came here because you want revenge, this is not for you. If you came here because you want to clap back, expose, embarrass, or win public applause, you can leave now. This word is for the one who has been sitting with a burning chest, trembling hands, and a mind full of explanations. This is for the one who keeps saying, if I could just tell them what really happened, they would understand. This is for the one who has been tempted to explain themselves one more time. Chosen one, God said, do not answer what he is judging. They lied. Yes, they did. They twisted your words. They questioned your motives. They took your silence and tried to paint it as guilt. They took your restraint and tried to call it weakness. They took your kindness and tried to use it as evidence against you. And now something in you wants to rise up and say, no, that is not what happened. That is not who I am. That is not what I meant. But hear me clearly. The first act of obedience in this battle is not speaking. The first act of obedience is refusing to answer a matter God has already taken into his hands. This message reached you on purpose. Not early, not late, right on time, before you typed the paragraph, before you hit send, before you made the call, before you posted the response, before you reopened the door to a conversation that already drained you once. God interrupted you because he is protecting you. He is not ignoring what they said. He heard it before you heard it. He saw the motive behind the words. He saw the hands that carried the accusation. He saw the spirit behind the conversation. Before this word goes any further, if you are choosing peace over panic, like this video as a declaration that your emotions will not rule your obedience. Subscribe if you need disciplined prophetic guidance in this season, because chosen ones cannot afford undisciplined reactions. And comment, God is handling what they said, not as a performance, but as a declaration of trust. Chosen one, your mouth is not the courtroom today. Your comment section is not the courtroom. Your inbox is not the courtroom. Your family group chat is not the courtroom. God is judging the matter. And when God is judging, you do not need to become your own defense attorney. Silence is not weakness. Silence is obedience. Silence is protection. Silence is your first sign that you trust the judge more than you trust your explanation. Chosen one, you have to discern the pressure behind the explanation, because not every urge to speak is wisdom. Not every sentence forming in your mind is instruction from God. Not every need to clear your name is obedience. Sometimes it is anxiety wearing the costume of responsibility. Sometimes it is fear dressed up like maturity. Sometimes it is your wounded place saying, if I do not defend myself, they will believe the lie. But listen carefully. That pressure is not always from God. There is a difference between being led to speak and being driven to prove. There is a difference between holy correction and emotional panic. There is a difference between God saying, go make peace, and your fear saying, go make them understand you. God may lead you to reconcile. God may lead you to apologize where you were wrong. God may lead you to speak truth with humility. But God will not drive you into frantic self-defense. God will not make your chest tight, your hands shake, your mind race, and then call that peace. God does not lead by torment. God does not guide by panic. God does not need you spiraling at midnight trying to build a case for people who already decided how they wanted to see you. Chosen one, pain trained you to over-explain. Pain trained you to over-prove. Pain trained you to over-apologize, even when you did not do anything wrong. Pain taught you that if someone was upset, it must be your job to fix their perception. Pain taught you that if someone misunderstood you, you had to chase them down with receipts, paragraphs, voice notes, screenshots, and trembling honesty until they finally believed your heart was clean. But God is breaking that training. He is detoxing your spirit from the need to be constantly understood by people who benefit from misunderstanding you. This is not weakness. This is not avoidance. This is not cowardice. This is discernment. Discernment says, I do not have to answer every accusation. Discernment says, I do not have to correct every twisted version of my story. Discernment says, I can tell the difference between a conversation that brings healing and a conversation that only feeds confusion. Discernment says, my peace is too expensive to spend on proving myself to someone committed to suspicion. You are not being asked to be passive. You are being asked to be governed. There is a difference. Passive silence is fear. Holy silence is obedience. Passive silence hides because it is afraid. Holy silence rests because it trusts God. Passive silence says, I cannot speak. Holy silence says, God did not release me to speak. That is authority. That is maturity. That is spiritual discipline. So before you answer, pause. Before you explain, breathe. Before you defend yourself, ask God, is this your instruction or is this my fear? Because if fear is leading it, the explanation will become a trap. You will say more than you meant to say. You will expose more than you needed to expose. You will reopen a wound God was already healing, and you will walk away feeling drained, not delivered. Chosen one, the pressure to explain is not always proof that you should speak. Sometimes it is the final test before peace. Sometimes it is the enemy trying to pull your mouth back into a battle your spirit already outgrew. Stay still. Let God separate wisdom from anxiety. Let Him teach you the difference between a holy conversation and a fear-driven performance. This is not weakness. This is not avoidance. This is not cowardice. This is discernment. And chosen one, understand this. Their words were loud, but heaven heard first. Before they repeated it, God heard it. Before the message was forwarded, God heard it. Before the screenshot was sent, God heard it. Before the private accusation became a public opinion, God heard it. Before their voice reached the ears of people, their motive reached the throne of God. Do not let the volume of their words make you forget the authority of heaven. People can be loud and still be wrong. People can sound convincing and still be carrying deception. People can gather agreement and still be standing outside the truth. God is not confused. He is not sitting in heaven trying to figure out who edited the story. He is not intimidated by half-truths. He is not persuaded by fake concern. He is not moved by someone saying, I am only saying this because I care, when the spirit behind it is accusation. He is not fooled by the missing context, the cropped conversation, the emotional performance, the selective memory, the carefully arranged evidence, or the private whisper that was designed to make you look guilty. God saw the whole thing before they chose the version they wanted to tell. That is why you must be still. You do not need to outtalk a lie when God has already heard the truth. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to make humans understand what heaven has already recorded accurately. You do not need to run from person to person trying to correct what God is already judging. Chosen one, heaven is the higher courtroom. Let that sink in. Heaven is the higher courtroom. They may control the conversation for a moment, but they do not control the verdict. They may control who hears their side first, but they do not control what God knows. They may control the atmosphere in a room, but they do not control the judgment of the righteous one. This is why God is saying, do not interrupt me while I am handling the case. Because when you rush to defend yourself, you may step into a seat God never assigned to you. Hear that again. When you rush to defend yourself, you may step into a seat God never assigned to you. You start acting like the judge, the witness, the attorney, and the evidence all at once. You start carrying a weight that was never yours. You start trying to prove what God already knows. You start explaining to people who are not even qualified to rule on the matter, and before you realize it, your peace is gone, your focus is gone, your sleep is disturbed, your spirit is heavy, and the very people who accused you are still eating, laughing, and moving on. That is not justice. That is distraction. Chosen one, God did not call you to chase every echo. He did not call you to answer every whisper. He did not call you to stand trial in the court of unstable opinions. Some people do not want truth. They want a reaction. Some people do not want clarity. They want access to your emotional state. Some people do not want resolution. They want to pull you down into the same confusion that is ruling them. And if you answer everything, you give them what they came for. You give them your energy. You give them your focus. You give them your sacred attention. But heaven already heard. Heaven heard what was said in secret. Heaven heard what was left out. Heaven heard the exaggeration. Heaven heard the jealousy underneath the concern. Heaven heard the bitterness underneath the story. Heaven heard the wound they refused to heal before they opened their mouth about you. Heaven heard the lie, and heaven also heard your restraint. Do not think your silence is invisible. Do not think your tears were wasted. Do not think your refusal to retaliate went unnoticed. God heard the accusation, and God heard your obedience. So stop rehearsing your defense in your mind. Stop preparing speeches God did not ask you to deliver. Stop imagining the perfect sentence that will finally make them see your heart. If God wanted you to win this by volume, He would have released you to speak, but He did not. He told you to be still because the judge is in session. Let them talk. Let heaven weigh it. Let God expose what needs to be exposed without your hands touching it. Let God correct what needs to be corrected without your emotions performing for it. Their words were loud, but heaven heard first. And when heaven has heard the truth, your assignment is not panic. Your assignment is trust. Chosen one, your silence is not proof that they won. Let that break the old pattern in your mind, because the old you believed that if you did not answer, you were losing. The old you believed that if you did not explain, they would control the story. The old you believed that if you did not defend your name immediately, your identity would collapse under the weight of their accusation. But that was the old training. That was the wounded version of you. That was the version that begged to be understood, begged to be believed, begged to be seen correctly by people who were not even looking through clean eyes. God is bringing you out of that. The refined you does not need to beg. The refined you does not need to chase. The refined you does not need to fall apart every time someone misreads your heart. The refined you can be misunderstood and still remain steady. The refined you can be talked about and still keep your peace. The refined you can watch accusation walk around the room and still stay seated, because you know who you are before God. That is authority. Authority is not always loud. Hear me carefully. Authority is not always a raised voice. Authority is not always a public response. Authority is not always correcting every sentence, challenging every lie, and proving every motive. Sometimes authority is the power to stay seated while chaos tries to make you stand. Sometimes authority is the discipline to keep your mouth closed while your emotions are begging for the microphone. Sometimes authority is the ability to let a false story pass by you without reaching for it, because you know God is already standing over the truth. Chosen one, silence is your shield. Silence is your strategy. Silence is your alignment. Silence is your shield because it keeps arrows from entering places God is healing. Silence is your strategy because it denies the accuser the reaction they were fishing for. Silence is your alignment because it proves that you are obeying God above your need to be approved by people. This is not social defeat. This is spiritual government. You are not being buried under their words. You are being established above their words. You are learning that your identity is not held together by their agreement. They do not have to agree for you to be chosen. They do not have to understand for you to be called. They do not have to clap for you to be anointed. They do not have to admit the truth for God to know the truth. Your silence is not empty. Your silence is speaking in a language heaven understands. It is saying, I trust you more than I trust my own defense. I know who I am, even when they pretend not to know. I will not lower my spirit to win an argument that you already judged. Even holy people were accused. Even the pure were watched. Even the obedient were mocked, tested, questioned, and surrounded by people waiting for one wrong word. And there were moments when silence carried more power than speech. There were moments when answering would have fed the trap. There were moments when restraint exposed more than explanation ever could. Do not think every accusation deserves your voice. Sometimes the highest answer is holy stillness. The enemy wants you to confuse quiet with weakness. God wants you to recognize quiet as maturity. The enemy wants you to think, if I do not speak, they will think I am guilty. God wants you to think, if I obey, heaven will handle what people mishandled. The enemy wants your mouth open before your spirit is settled. God wants your spirit settled before your mouth ever opens again. Chosen one, you are not who you used to be. You are not the anxious explainer anymore. You are not the desperate defender anymore. You are not the one begging people to see what God already sealed. Your silence is evidence that something in you has grown. Your silence is evidence that your identity has moved from their hands into God's hands. Your silence is evidence that you no longer need their agreement to know who you are. So, sit in that authority. Do not twitch under accusation. Do not panic under misunderstanding. Do not surrender your peace just because someone is loud. Let them speak from confusion. You stand in alignment. Let them move in suspicion. You remain under covering. Let them mistake your silence for defeat. God knows it is discipline. And when God is the one holding your name, you do not have to keep snatching it back from every mouth that mishandles it. Chosen one, God is not just handling their words. He is protecting your spirit from the cost of answering them. Do you understand what that means? He is not only judging the accusation, he is hiding you from the exhaustion attached to the argument. He is not ignoring the attack. He is not pretending it did not hurt. He is not asking you to be silent because your pain does not matter. He is asking you to be silent because he sees what that conversation would take out of you. He sees the drain before you enter it. He sees the heaviness before it lands on your chest. He sees the sleepless night before you spend it replaying every sentence. He sees the spiritual fatigue before you call it closure. God is not ignoring you. He is hiding you. There are arguments that do not come to resolve anything. They come to empty you. There are conversations that do not come to bring understanding. They come to pull clarity out of your mind, peace out of your heart, sleep out of your night, focus out of your assignment, and sensitivity out of your spirit. You think you are just explaining, but by the time you finish explaining, you are drained. By the time you finish defending, you are heavy. By the time you finish proving, you cannot pray clearly, you cannot think clearly, you cannot hear clearly, and you cannot move forward with the same strength you had before you answered. That is why God said, stay hidden. Chosen one, some people do not want understanding. They want access. Hear that again. Some people do not want understanding. They want access to your reaction. They want to see if they can still move you. They want to know if one accusation can still pull you out of peace. They want to know if one lie can still make you panic. They want to know if one twisted sentence can still make you open your heart, expose your wounds, reveal your thoughts, and hand them your emotional condition. This is spiritual strategy. Reaction gives them material. Material feeds interference. Interference slows momentum, and when momentum slows, you start questioning what God already confirmed. You start looking backward when God told you to walk forward. You start defending your past when God is trying to prepare your future. You start spending strength on people God never assigned you to convince. That is not wisdom, that is leakage. Silence preserves power. Silence preserves oil. Silence preserves focus. Silence preserves the part of you that still needs to be strong for what is coming next. Because what is coming next will require a steady spirit. It will require a clean ear. It will require a disciplined mouth. It will require you to stop giving your strength to every person who knows how to provoke you. You cannot carry breakthrough with a nervous system trained to jump at every accusation. You cannot step into promise exhausted from arguments God told you to leave behind. You cannot steward elevation while still trying to manage every opinion from people who are committed to misunderstanding your obedience. So God pulls you back. He closes your mouth. He hides your name under his hand. And at first it may feel like delay. It may feel like you are losing time. It may feel like they are speaking and you are just sitting there doing nothing. But heaven sees differently. God is preserving you. God is keeping you from the argument that would drain the strength you need for the door he is about to open. Do not call protection punishment. Do not call hiding rejection. Do not call silence weakness. God is not withholding your voice because he forgot you. He is guarding your spirit because he knows what is next. He knows the weight of the assignment. He knows the strength you will need. He knows that if you spend all your oil explaining yourself to the wrong people, you will arrive at the right door empty. Chosen one, let them wonder why you did not answer. Let them mistake your restraint for fear. Let them think they got the final word. They did not. God did. And while they are busy talking, God is busy covering. While they are busy accusing, God is busy preserving. While they are busy trying to pull you into the argument, God is hiding you in peace. Stay there. Stay covered. Stay quiet. Not because you are weak, but because you are being protected. And chosen one, you need to understand the timing of this argument. It did not arrive randomly. It did not show up by accident. It did not get loud in this season for no reason. The argument arrived near your breakthrough on purpose. The accusation got louder because destiny got closer. The pressure to respond increased because the door is nearer than you think. Distraction becomes loud when promise is close. Confusion starts knocking harder when clarity is about to settle. Old voices start reaching again when new doors are about to open. Hear me carefully. The enemy is not always trying to destroy you with something big. Sometimes he tries to delay you with something petty. Sometimes he does not need you to fall into sin. He just needs you emotionally busy, verbally exposed, spiritually scattered, mentally rehearsing conversations that God never assigned you to finish. He wants you replaying their tone, their lie, their accusation, their disrespect, until your focus leaves the place God told you to build. This is why the instruction is tighter now. There are seasons where a conversation would not have cost you much. There are seasons where a reply would not have carried the same weight. There are seasons where explaining yourself may have been simple, harmless, and necessary. But this is not that season. Late-stage obedience requires precision. When you are close to what God promised, small leaks matter, small distractions matter, small emotional openings matter. What was harmless in another season can be dangerous now because you are carrying more weight now. You are closer now. You are not standing where you used to stand. Chosen one, when God is moving you into a new level, your mouth must become more disciplined, not because God is trying to control you, because God is trying to cover you. The closer you are to the promise, the less room you have for careless words. The closer you are to the door, the less permission you have to answer every knock. The closer you are to elevation, the more dangerous it becomes to let your emotions speak before your spirit listens. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every person deserves access to your explanation. Say that again in your spirit. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every person deserves access to your explanation. Some people are not asking because they want truth. They are asking because they want entry. They want a doorway into your mind. They want a doorway into your peace. They want a doorway into the place God is trying to keep clean. And if you answer from agitation, you may give away what God told you to guard. You may expose your process. You may reveal your next move. You may leak your frustration. You may hand them language they can twist again. You may enter a conversation thinking you are bringing clarity, but leave feeling divided, drained, and pulled out of the rhythm God just restored in you. That is the trap. It is not only about the argument. It is about what the argument does to your momentum. Because momentum is sacred in this season. Your focus is sacred. Your peace is sacred. Your ability to hear God clearly is sacred. Your obedience is sacred. And the enemy wants to interrupt that rhythm right before the shift. He wants your mind crowded before the announcement. He wants your spirit tired before the door opens. He wants your mouth loose before God gives you the word that actually matters. But God is saying, do not waste your voice on this. This is not silence forever. Do not let fear twist the instruction. God is not saying you will never speak. God is not saying truth will never come out. God is not saying your side will never be known. He is saying, be quiet until I release you. He is saying, hold your peace until I give you the right word. He is saying, do not speak because pressure pushed you. Speak when my spirit releases you. There is a right word. There is a right time. There is a right tone. There is a right door. And chosen one, if you let anxiety rush you, you may speak too early and call it boldness. You may defend yourself from fear and call it truth. You may answer a trap and call it closure. But when God releases the word, it will not come from panic. It will come from peace. It will not scatter you. It will settle you. It will not pull you backward. It will move you forward. So do not let the timing fool you. The argument got loud because you are close. The accusation rose because something is shifting. The pressure came because your discipline is being tested at the gate. Stay covered. Stay steady. Stay quiet until God releases your mouth. The closer you are to what God promised, the more disciplined your mouth must become. And chosen one, now God is bringing you into surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means you do not care. Not the kind of surrender that means what happened did not hurt. Not the kind of surrender that means the lie was acceptable. The accusation was harmless, or the betrayal was small. No, this is the kind of surrender that says, God, I am done performing innocence for people who have already decided to misunderstand me. This is the kind of surrender that closes the courtroom in your mind. This is the kind of surrender that stops calling witnesses who were never assigned to validate you. Stop rehearsing the speech. Stop imagining the confrontation. Stop building the perfect paragraph in your head. Stop editing the response. Stop thinking, if I just say it this way, they will finally understand. Chosen one, some people are not confused because you were unclear. They are confused because understanding you would require them to release the story that benefits them. And you cannot keep bleeding your piece trying to convince someone who is comfortable with the version that makes you look guilty. God can correct the story without your performance. Hear that again. God can correct the story without your performance. He does not need you frantic. He does not need you dramatic. He does not need you standing in front of people with trembling hands, trying to prove your heart was clean. God is not limited to a public explanation. He can vindicate through exposure. He can vindicate through timing. He can vindicate through your fruit. He can vindicate through separation. He can vindicate through peace that remains on you when chaos should have destroyed you. He can vindicate through quiet confirmation in the hearts of the right people. He can let the truth rise slowly, steadily, and undeniably without you touching the matter. This is why you must stop trying to manage every opinion. You were never assigned to control every room where your name is mentioned. You were never assigned to correct every sentence spoken in your absence. You were never assigned to chase every person who heard the wrong version. Some people will not understand because they are not assigned to understand. Let that set you free. Their misunderstanding cannot cancel your assignment. Their suspicion cannot cancel your calling. Their version cannot erase what God wrote over your life. Chosen one, you are not a seed that digs itself up to prove it is alive. A seed stays hidden. A seed lets the dirt cover it. A seed lets the darkness do what darkness is assigned to do. Roots grow in darkness. Strength forms in silence. What is real does not have to keep interrupting its own growth to convince the surface that something is happening underneath. God is working where they cannot see. God is developing roots where they only see silence. God is strengthening you in places that do not need applause, permission, or explanation. Do not dig yourself up. Every time you leave the place of surrender to prove you are alive, you interrupt what God is forming in the dark. Every time you run back to the courtroom in your mind, you pick up a case God told you to leave on the altar. Every time you call another witness, replay another conversation, imagine another argument, or search for another person to say, I believe you, you are asking people to give you what God already gave you. He already knows. He already saw. He already judged the matter in truth. So release the courtroom. Release the imaginary jury. Release the need to cross-examine the ones who lied. Release the need to drag every detail into the light before God says it is time. Let God choose the method. Let God choose the moment. Let God choose the audience. Sometimes He will expose. Sometimes He will separate. Sometimes He will let your fruit answer over time. Sometimes He will simply give you peace and move you so far forward that the accusation cannot even reach your new address. That is not losing. That is deliverance. Chosen one, your innocence does not become real only when people recognize it. Your calling does not become secure only when critics approve it. Your future does not depend on the people who mishandled your past. Stay planted, stay covered, stay quiet. Let the roots go deeper. Let strength form in silence. Let God correct the story in the way only God can. You do not have to perform, you have to surrender. Chosen one, now you must practice the holy pause before you speak again. This is not just a nice idea. This is not just emotional control. This is spiritual training. God is teaching your spirit to obey before your emotions take the microphone, because there is a moment between what they said and what you are about to say. There is a small space between the trigger and the response. There is a narrow gate between provocation and obedience. And in that gate, your future can be protected or your peace can be leaked. Pause before you reply. Breathe before you react. Pray before you send. Sleep before you decide. Hear that again. Pause before you reply. Breathe before you react. Pray before you send. Sleep before you decide. Do not let a shaking hand type a permanent answer. Do not let a wounded heart send a message your settled spirit would never approve. Do not let midnight emotions make morning decisions. Some replies feel powerful for 5 minutes and cost you peace for 5 days. God is saying, slow down. Not because you are weak, because you are learning authority. A person without discipline answers every pull. A person under covering waits for release. A person led by fear speaks quickly because silence feels unsafe. But a person led by God can hold the sentence until heaven breathes on it. That is maturity. That is restraint. That is the evidence that your mouth is no longer ruled by panic. Chosen one, before you answer, ask yourself this simple test. Is this response led by peace, truth, timing, and purpose? Or is it led by fear, rage, pressure, and pride? Sit with that. Is it peace or panic? Is it truth or retaliation? Is it timing or impulse? Is it purpose or performance? If you have to send it because you are afraid of what they will think, wait. If you have to post it because your pride feels bruised, wait. If you have to explain it because pressure is squeezing your chest, wait. If you have to prove something to people who have already shown you they do not handle your heart with maturity, wait. The holy pause will save you from words you cannot take back. And in this season, you must reduce unnecessary communication with people who keep pulling you into explanations, arguments, and emotional spirals. Stop giving unlimited access to those who only know how to provoke your defense. Stop answering every question that is really a trap. Stop reopening conversations that always end with you drained, misunderstood, and spiritually scattered. Boundaries are not bitterness. Distance is not hatred. Silence is not revenge. Sometimes, silence is the gate God builds around your peace. There are people who know exactly what to say to make you over-explain. They know the tone. They know the accusation. They know the little sentence that makes you feel like you have to prove your heart again. But God is retraining you. He is teaching you not to hand your nervous system to anyone who knocks on it. He is teaching you that access to your explanation is not automatic. He is teaching you that some people can receive your silence because they were never mature enough to receive your truth. So write it down before you say it out loud. Journal the truth privately instead of bleeding it publicly. Take the pain to God before you take it to people. Put the sentence on paper. Put the memory before heaven. Put the accusation on the altar. God can receive what people are not mature enough to handle. God can hold the full story without twisting it. God can hear your anger without misusing it. God can handle your tears without gossiping about them. Tell him what you wanted to say. Tell him what hurt. Tell him what was unfair. Tell him what you are tempted to prove. But do not bleed in front of people who came to watch you lose blood. Chosen one, silence is not suppression. God is not asking you to swallow pain and pretend you are fine. He is not asking you to disappear inside yourself. He is not asking you to deny what happened. Silence is obedience until God gives language, timing, and authority. There is a difference between being silenced by fear and being quiet under instruction. Fear-based silence makes you shrink. Holy silence makes you stronger. Fear-based silence traps your voice. Holy silence purifies your voice. Fear-based silence leaves you bitter. Holy silence brings you back to peace. When God releases you to speak, your words will not come from chaos. They will come from clarity. They will not come from rage. They will come from authority. They will not come to perform innocence. They will come to fulfill purpose. And until then, practice the pause. Let your spirit breathe. Let your emotions settle. Let God interrupt the reaction before it becomes a response. Because the holy pause is where obedience wins. The holy pause is where peace returns. The holy pause is where your mouth remembers that it belongs to God. Chosen one, right now, let your spirit come down from the argument. Breathe. Let your mind stop running from room to room trying to correct every opinion. Let your heart stop shaking under the weight of what they said. Let your body stop preparing for a fight God never told you to enter. This is the moment where you release the case. This is the moment where you put the accusation back into the hands of the only judge who sees clearly. Father, in the name of your authority, calm the mind of the one listening right now. Steady their heart. Remove the panic that makes them feel responsible for every opinion, every whisper, every false report, every twisted version, and every mouth that spoke without truth. Break the pressure off their chest. Break the urgency off their emotions. Break the fear that says, if I do not answer, I will lose. Remind them that peace does not come from being understood by everyone. Peace comes from trusting you with what everyone cannot handle. God, cover their name, cover their assignment, cover their relationships, cover their reputation, cover their next season. Cover the door that is opening. Cover the promise that is forming. Cover the work you have placed in their hands. Do not let accusation contaminate what you are building. Do not let confusion enter the rooms you are preparing. Do not let the wrong voices define what your hand has already blessed. Chosen one, receive this. God is placing a boundary around your peace. God is placing a shield around your spirit. God is placing his hand over your mouth, not to silence your identity, but to protect your obedience. Father, expose what needs to be exposed. Correct what needs to be corrected. Reveal what needs to be revealed. Separate what needs to be separated. Bring truth to the surface in your timing, in your way, with your authority. Close every mouth assigned to create confusion. Close every mouth assigned to stir division. Close every mouth assigned to twist innocence into guilt. Close every mouth assigned to pull this chosen one into panic, performance, and unnecessary defense. And God, where their own heart is tempted to speak too quickly, restrain them in love. Where their emotions are tempted to answer from pain, settle them in wisdom. Where fear says, defend yourself now, let your spirit say, be still. Where pride says, make them understand, let obedience say, God already knows. Chosen one, declare this over yourself. I will not answer from anxiety. I will not defend from fear. I will not trade my peace for the temporary relief of being understood. I will not lower my spirit to win an argument God already judged. I will not open my mouth just because pressure knocked. I will not pick up a case that belongs in God's hands. Say it in your spirit until your nervous system believes it. I am covered. I am steady. I am not responsible for correcting every lie. I am not responsible for managing every opinion. I am not responsible for convincing people who are committed to misunderstanding me. God heard it first. God saw it clearly. God is judging the matter. Father, let peace return. Let clarity return. Let sleep return. Let focus return. Let joy return. Let this chosen one stop carrying what was never assigned to their shoulders. Give them the strength to walk forward quietly. Give them the discipline to leave the accusation on the altar. Give them the maturity to trust your justice more than their reaction. And I seal this prayer with this declaration. God is handling what they said, and I will not interrupt his justice with my panic. Now leave it there, chosen one. Do not pick it back up tonight. Do not check to see who believed them. Do not chase the person who misunderstood you. Do not replay the accusation until your peace leaves again. Do not reopen the wound just to see if it still hurts. You prayed. You released it. You placed the case in God's hands. Now the final act of faith is to walk forward quietly and refuse to explain yourself again unless God releases you. This is obedience. This is trust. This is spiritual authority. You are not abandoning the truth. You are surrendering the battle to the one who judges righteously. Let God handle what they said. Let God handle what they twisted. Let God handle who listened. Let God handle who walked away. Your assignment now is peace. Your assignment now is stillness. Your assignment now is to keep moving without carrying the courtroom in your chest. If this message found you in a season of accusation, misunderstanding, betrayal, or pressure to defend yourself, leave your prayer request in the comments. Let this be the place where you stop carrying it alone. And if you are ready to obey, comment these words. I will be still while God handles it. Write it as your declaration of silence, justice, and trust. Share this message with another chosen one who is about to answer a battle. God is already judging. Like this message, subscribe, and stay connected, because God is strengthening your discernment, your restraint, your peace, and your spiritual authority. Chosen one, leave the case with God. Walk forward quietly. Heaven heard it first.